Welcome back to Entertainment Banter. I'm talking to Matt,
That's me. And then I guess I'm talking to Joel.
and that's me. Today's episode, we call these episodes? What are we calling these?
Sure, let's call them episodes.
Alright. On this episode, we will talk about the one, the only, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel!
Captain Marvel. We did do an episode of Captain Marvel of, predictions?
I don't know if it was just predictions. I think we were, to be honest with you, I don't know what we've talked about.
Well, we
I
talked
know that
about
we
it
were,
before we
I
saw
know
the
we were
movie.
talking about Hollywood's Endgame and how they want to, push certain agendas, and Captain Marvel, unfortunately, was a part of that.
Well, we were talking about how we wanted to. We talked about before we saw the movie, and now we both saw the movie, and now we're going to talk about it again,
Yes.
just in case we missed something, and we're just going to talk about. We may repeat some things that we said in the last one, but you know what?
Well, you're right. The
This
last
is our
one was more
podcast.
right. Well, the last one was more about predictions and, like I said, the Hollywood agenda push. So, and it was also about Brie Larson and all, the controversy surrounding her.
All right. So you saw Captain Marvel,
I
Matt.
did. Yep, I saw it in theaters.
What did you think?
Why?
Did you?
You're gonna make me start?
Well, because I know you're thinking like. You
Hey,
have you did you only? I mean, can I ask? Can I ask this one question?
you started stuttering like crazy. Yes, you're obviously excited. Please ask.
Did you like the movie? Well,
All right, you ready?
that said it. Nope.
Wait,
Nope.
are you ready for
Moving
this?
on. Let's move on to the
No,
next
are you ready
episode.
for
Nope.
this?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I have to answer your question.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. You're gonna say you hated her and you liked Nick Fury.
No, what I'm gonna say is
Not safe for children.
no. I was gonna say I liked the movie.
Oh,
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
right.
I just liked it.
And
And
it's not the strongest.
no, but I will tell you, it's not. It's definitely towards the bottom. But I will have to say that I think something like Ant-Man and Wasp was below it.
Really, you didn't like Ant-Man and Wasp?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's hard to. I don't think the Marvel Universe needed it. The only reason why that movie existed was for them to explain the quantum realm in greater detail and maybe bring Wasp's mother back because she obviously came back endowed with some crazy powers. But then they all disappeared, so it doesn't really matter.
Interesting.
But obviously the quantum realm has something to do with Endgame because clearly, they're talking about it,
He comes back from.
and he comes back. But other than that, I mean, if Endgame wasn't in existence and it was just a movie, I would say Ant-Man and Wasp was probably plot-wise the least necessary. And I don't know, like it's a fun ride. They all have been fun rides, but I would say it's actually below Captain Marvel.
Wow. So you actually liked the movie. What?
Yeah,
What did you? Should we do a synopsis of what happened in the movie?
Should
we
can
talk
talk
about
I'm sure
that?
at
Should
some
we
point
talk-
people will know.
Should
But
we
well,
do some spoiler alert?
well, yeah. I
signs,
mean, I'm
like,
gonna be honest with
bang,
you. Like,
bang?
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. With the controversy surrounding the movie, I did go in kind of one-sided. You can't not go in one-sided after all the stuff that went down. But at the same time, I did go in with an open mind. But I'll tell you this: I think it's kind of funny, and I have some theories, so I want to talk to you about these. And I'm just curious to pick
Okay.
your brain about them. But the first thing is, all right, we know the controversy, right? They make the movie, and Brie runs her mouth
And the
way
movie
in it,
way in
no,
advance.
not in the movie, but in public,
In
way
public.
in advance.
Brie
Way
Larson,
in
the
advance.
actor, was talking, and
Right.
they had before she even came out and talked to the press. So when they were making the movie was predicted to make an X amount of money. As soon as she started
Right.
doing these little press conferences,
Well, let's
the
just
money
cut to the
went
chase.
down.
It was the whole "we hate white men"
right,
attitude.
right.
That's
Even
what-
though
that's
that's
what-
not what she said, it was implied.
It was implied, And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, what's interesting is I would love to know how far back that started. Now, keep that in the back pocket of your mind for a second, and let's move on to a different subject matter. When did Stan Lee officially pass away? Because that was sad, and I feel like it was recent, but time flies when you're not paying attention to it. So, do you remember when he actually passed?
When he actually died?
Yeah.
Um, no, I
Do you
wish I.
remember what year? Was it actually 18 or was it 19?
November 12th, 2018.
November 12th. So it was okay. So it's been some time, but not a lot. So
Right.
because this movie's been out in theaters for a couple of weeks and we're in March, so it's been about half a year, right?
Yeah, yeah,
When did
five
when did this
months.
movie? 5 months. So it's been
5 months.
5 months.
Sure.
And so here's okay. So this okay. That's doable. So this is what I'm gonna get at. When I sat down in the movie theater.
Do you like the opening? You like that opening?
Well, first of all, I was curious. Well, I was curious about the crowd. Like, how many people are going to be watching this? Because there's also all these haters online saying there's no one in the crowds. Disney's bought all the tickets, so to make the box office look bigger than it actually is. But there's no one actually in the theaters watching it.
You had
Well, where I'm
crowds.
at right now currently is Bumville, so I don't think Disney gives a crap about Bumville. So when I went in, keep in mind it's been playing for what 2 weeks now.
2, 3 weeks now. Yeah.
Right. So we had about, I would say, 8 people in the theater, which is more than I was expecting. I really thought we were going to have the theater to ourselves. Because when movies like this are out, people go and see it, right away, and then they see it a second time in the next week. So by week 2 or 3, there's not as many people watching it. And I didn't go on a middle of the week. I went on a Friday night, so it wasn't like I was expecting it to be completely dead on a Tuesday afternoon or something like
Right,
that.
Matt. Well, you also live in a place where the population's five.
Right, but we're also counting the wildlife. At least right now. But
Anything
but
bigger
so
than
getting
40 pounds, I
so I
get
just
you.
want you to know, even after 3 weeks, there was 8 people in the theater on a Friday night, which in my small town, I think there was like a deer, myself, and 2 other people. But so there was people in the theater, and then so
Cool.
I'll just tell you that. And then the second thing was, yeah, when Stan Lee intro for Marvel, the logo, I thought that was a very touching thing. But then I turned to my wife and said, "Well, it's a good thing he's dead because Brie Larson wouldn't let him watch this movie."
Well, I'm kind of hoping that's how the Marvel symbol is from now on.
I don't know. I feel like it might have just been a special thing. We'll
Because that'd be
see.
great to see that for Endgame. That's a way better movie to have it on.
Oh, for sure. It's for sure. And I really hope he was able to screen that movie. I hope they gave it private screening, but you never know. So anyways, then the movie starts, right?
Right.
And like I said, I'm trying to keep an open mind. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. And it never really comes. And I was surprised. I really was surprised. And so I started thinking about it. Um, because in Solo, it's brazenly apparent. Like it's and it's complicated because like
What do you
I
mean?
have to
What's
I have
apparent?
I
The
have I
women
have to
thing?
yeah, yeah, no, I'm sorry, yeah, so I have to I apologize. I always talk Star Wars, but the problem we keep going back to is Disney took over Star Wars and started pushing their agenda in Star Wars first, and
Disney's
then it
got their own
started
agenda.
and
It's
then they
true.
started transferring it into the Marvel movies. But what's interesting is they did Rogue One, female lead. No one cared. It's fine. It was a good movie. People liked it. I didn't care for it, to be honest with you, but people were raving about it, so fine. They liked it. Then The Force Awakens comes out. For me, I thought that was a great movie. I really enjoyed that movie. Last Jedi comes out, pisses everybody off.
Right.
And then they're told it's because they're women haters. So that pissed people off even more. Then what happens is they boycott Solo, and I didn't boycott Solo. I went and saw it.
By the way,
And
Solo's my favorite Star Wars movie, if I had to pick one.
but you're not a Star Wars fan, so you gotta take that with a grain of salt.
Go on.
Okay, so anyways, in the Solo movie, women are more apparent, which is fine, but like it's like they're everywhere. And again, I don't have a problem with women, but they're in these great leadership roles, right? But they're
Right.
they're they're forced upon us. They're last minute, meaning like in the universe, which again is fine. But what bothered me the most was the female robot because it's like this is getting way off subject, but it's like the
Go
Bert and
on.
Ernie
This is
thing.
totally Captain Marvel. Keep going.
Right, but it's kind of like the Bert and Ernie thing where Like people all of a sudden are arguing, complaining that Bert and Ernie were actually a gay couple in Sesame Street, and this
They
has
are.
been debunked. No, it's been debunked so many times.
Nope.
There's one. Yes, it
Nope.
is. There was one. Yes, it is. There's
Keep
been one.
going.
There was one performer or producer, whatever the hell it was. I can't remember his name. He claimed that they were in fact gay, and Sesame Street then repeatedly goes back and says that's impossible because we've since day one said they're puppets, they're muppets, they're creatures. It's only when society starts to change things because if you watch Sesame Street, for example, there's only one character that has an accent, and
Count
it's the
Dracula.
it's Rosita. Well, that would be one. Yeah, I got Transylvania, so you got me there.
Boom.
But then, but Rosita, you know what I mean? Like that's the only one. So now we automatically associate Rosita as a Mexican or from Hispanic descent or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that had to be thrown in there. For someone decided we now have to give them nationalities. Monsters have to have nationalities. Whereas before, if they were all just speaking English in a normal whatever, all consistently, it wouldn't single anything out. Now they're being singled out. So now by creating Rosita, now everyone else is white. You know what I mean? Like if you just left it alone, they were just monsters and Muppets. But now because you singled out one character, now we're to assume everything else is a different
Holy
nationality or something else.
crap. What are we talking about?
Well, I'm getting to this point of the idea we were talking about the Muppets being gay. We're talking about singling out characters and everything else.
Right.
So the robot in Solo was female, which it's a
Right.
fucking robot, right? It's a
Right.
robot. All right? It doesn't have a dick, it doesn't have a vagina, it's
Well,
a
it
robot.
could have a mechanical one. Calm
Well, they
down.
went as far as saying that Lando was in love. They were implying that they had a lover's relationship,
Right.
which it could be physical because the girl even says, "How do you do that?"
You
So
don't think that when man starts creating an artificial intelligence, we're not going to put a female and male touch to the robot?
it won't look like a robot. Otherwise, I expect you to go stick your dick in a toaster right now because
Okay.
it doesn't look like a female, but it's a
Any toaster
machine.
is
So
fine.
watch or VCR because
What's a
I wouldn't
VCR?
do it a blue well Blu-ray player would be harder, I would think. So I would pick a
I
VCR.
want to do my Switch.
Just don't hit eject or whatever.
Maybe I like
But
that.
the but the point I'm making is to get to your counter argument. I am thinking like look at Japan. They're trying to make robots look like humans at least. Look at
Right.
Westworld and
Right.
HBO. They're trying to make them look like humans.
Right.
They don't look like some stupid toaster oven talking and being sarcastic. And then in Solo, I'm just trying to. We're
Okay,
already
we're
killing
apparently
so much
talking
time.
Solo. Okay, apparently we're on
Well,
Solo.
because they forced that this women or woman robot, her rights are being abused because in a weird sick sort of way, slavery is now becoming an issue because even though she has her own personality and her own mind, she's still a robot. So she's still a slave to Lando. And then she frees all the robots on that, Kessel, whatever island or planet, and all of a sudden now she's a liberator and like women's lib through the eyes of a robot and being suppressed. It was so forced and so stupid. Like it just took me out of the movie completely. And I was expecting something like that with Captain Marvel.
And he brings it back.
So it never came. In my
It
opinion, it never
never
came.
came.
So I don't know if they toned it down because that's why I was asking about Stan Lee and that's why I was asking about how long Brie Larson ran her mouth. Because 5 months is a long time. When they reshot 50 or 60% of Solo and Rogue One,
Mm-hmm.
they did it all in 5 or 6 months. So if Brie Larson opens her mouth, people are getting pissed off. Disney execs say, "Hey, you know what? Let's nip this in the bud now." Yeah, the movie was full of this shit, but clearly people are getting pissed. Our scores are going down on Rotten Tomatoes. All this stuff. We need to cut those parts out as much as we can and let's see what kind of movie we have
Do you
left.
think that's what they did?
I don't know. That was the question I was going to ask you. Do
I
you think they did
heard.
it, or
So
do you think that they actually just made the movie as is and it wasn't as bad as people thought it was going to be?
this is what I heard. I heard that they filmed two versions of how her character can go.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that included endgame parts, which it may have. So I'm guessing they went the route because I heard Brie Larson's career is over. That's what I heard. In the Marvel universe, her career is over already. I heard it's
You
not
think
gonna.
so?
Yeah, no, I think it. I think Disney came out and said it's over already.
I
So
haven't been paying attention to recent headlines,
I don't
so
know if
I'll
this is
take your word
true.
for it.
These are rumors. I don't know if it's actually true, but if it is true, then we're going to see a different Endgame that we were going to see before. Um, the original prediction. Can we just go? I want to go on a tangent real quick.
Go for it. I talked
Totally
for
off
a
when
long
you said
time.
about all females and all that, and
Yes.
workforce. It was funny because this has something to do with what we're talking about today, or about Captain Marvel. But I was at
That's
work.
right.
We're getting Petzl trained. I'm a competent
Yes.
Petzl inspector now for
Yes.
the Petzl climbing gear, right?
Yeah, they're not. We're not talking about things you eat.
Right, not Pretzel, Petzl, the French company. So we're watching their propaganda videos, their Kool-Aid videos, and
Yes.
they're taking us a tour virtually through the Petzl company over
Okay.
in France. And as we're watching the inspection people, the builders, the assemblers, like all of it, and the destroyers, like they're all in this place, right?
Right.
They're all female. Like I'm just watching this video, I'm like, are they all female, or do they just film only the female people for this video? Like it is, like
Does
as
it
we're
have a
watching
copyright
it,
on the video? Just out of curiosity.
yeah.
What was the copyright date?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look. We can go to the Petzl website and look, but it was just interesting. We're like, I'm watching the video, and we're like, are they all females that work there? Is that all who
Can I can I
works?
can I be a sexist for 2
Yeah, yeah,
seconds?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I might
mean,
get
you're
really.
sexist all the
I might
time.
get hate mail for this.
You
But
only are sexist, but go on.
no. I'm
Somehow
being
you're
serious.
married.
I'm being serious for 2 seconds, right?
Okay.
Okay, if I buy, they don't exist anymore, but if I buy a Playboy magazine and the first full spread is a bunch of men with dicks,
Playboy
I
doesn't
don't think
exist?
I think it's online only. I don't
Oh,
think it
wow.
exists in paper copy anymore.
Okay, go
But the
on.
point I'm making is if I buy one and I open it up and it's all men and dicks, I'm not going to buy another one
Right.
because Playboy's is supposed to be catered mostly to men, right? That's originally what it was intended for.
Correct.
So if you take that and now you run with it, sex sells, right?
Right.
If the majority of people climbing are male, maybe they're more interested in watching a video if it's
They were
filled
not
with a bunch of
attractive women.
females. Okay, well then
They
I don't know
weren't
what
like
to
women in bikinis doing this.
No,
They
no,
were
no.
like
I'm
old
not-
ladies that you can tell that have been there since like World War II. They've been working since the war times and never went back.
Listen, I bet you they were beautiful Bettys during
Beautiful
their time.
baddies.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right, so
I
back-
was
back-
just curious.
so
'Cause
back
men
to
pay
Captain
attention
Marvel.
to women, obviously.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We do. We
More
do.
than one way.
It's true. There's a hole we want to put our dick in. So, Nick, do not do that. And you're too young. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and don't make love to any of your planes.
I think he gave up.
Even though
on-
they look
he
like
gave up on
robots.
flying. Now he's
Don't-
moved on.
Don't make love to your planes. No, he just got his instruction thing. He's good to go.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
So Captain Marvel.
Yes.
I heard that. So the theories right now on it. So we're bringing it back to Captain Marvel.
Bringing it back.
So
That's what we do. Answer away.
They made two endings. So there's a fan theory out there that Captain Marvel could have been the next head of Avengers.
Yes.
Now in the comics, every single one of them is becomes a leader of it. Even Wolverine
So
led the
when you
Avengers.
say every single one of them, you mean every character?
Every
that
character
has been
eventually has been
introduced
made. Yeah,
in the Marvel Cinematic
has
Universe
led
right now
has led the Avengers at some point.
at some point.
At
yes.
some point, even Spider-Man, even Wolverine, they've all done it. Even the
Right.
Hulk did it. So, Captain Marvel, the theory is right now, in the movie, you notice she did not say she was Marvel or she was a captain yet, right? It was
No,
Marvel.
but they did do Marvel jokes.
Yeah, they did
right.
do that joke. So, she's going to take the word Miss Marvel, because that was her original name anyway. She's going to be called Miss
Yes.
Marvel, most likely, in Endgame. I think
Yes.
there's one theory is that she takes control of the Avengers and she calls herself Captain in lieu of Captain America because he sacrifices himself.
Right.
I think the real new other fan theory is Captain America's dying in this movie. This is going to happen. He's
There's a good
going down.
possibility
Huge
that a lot of
possibility.
them
Either he's
are.
retiring or he's dying. The retiring one would say that Captain Marvel takes up the mantle for him. Him dying is that when he jumps in front and sacrifices himself for her, I think she does out of respect. She calls herself Captain Marvel out of respect to Captain America. Not that she's taken the mantle, but that she
Right.
respects him. And I think
Right. I
that's a
understand that.
huge thing if that happens in this movie because then it can kind of erase the Brie Larson bullshit of watching men. She's taking a man's name, Captain, and putting it in front of hers out of respect. Not because like he's a white and he's a white he's the average white male. Matter of fact, the males that we hate in this world right now. Like Captain America is the male we hate because he's from that time period and he's white.
Well, just now I got to put a footnote in. You realize that Chris
Chris
was,
Evans.
yes, he was commenting on how he couldn't play someone like Tom Brady in a movie because, and they're supposedly acquaintances. He would never play him as long as he was a Trump supporter. So there you go. Even white men hate white men.
We hate each other. That's true.
We do.
So
So see,
it'll be
it's an equal hater. We hate everybody.
so
So
this
there you go.
that movie's gonna be interesting. But let's go back to the movie. How did you like?
Yes.
Did you like?
Well, I was gonna say
Oh, okay.
well, what I was gonna say is the movie wasn't without hating men, right? Especially white men. I looked for the moments, and like for example, you got the classic macho pig uh, guy saying it's called a cockpit for a reason, and
Yeah.
they pushed that twice in the movie, which I felt was unnecessary. They pushed it twice. We got it the first time, but I let that slide. When she crashes in Blockbuster, it's a True Lies poster. She blasts Arnold Schwarzenegger's face, but keeps what's her face's face.
Oh, I didn't notice
Uh,
that.
yeah,
That's amazing
so
that you
like
noticed that.
yeah, so there's just small little things that were in there, but nothing to me that was a red flag. And what was interesting too, and this is why I'm saying I'm wondering if they went back to the cutting room floor because they showed, and this is a complicated two-part issue. On one side of the coin, you have history, okay? You can't ignore history. And during history, especially a lot has changed in the last 30 or 40 years. And that is, like civil rights movement, you name it, all the way up. Do we still have those problems to this day? Absolutely. To say that we don't is not true. But has it changed and gotten a lot better? Absolutely. And so, like for me, the whole women in combat and everything else. Look, I don't care if people hate me for saying this or not. The whole reason why women weren't allowed in combat in the beginning was because if they were behind enemy lines and they were captured, they're getting raped and they're getting killed. And because a physical man is usually stronger than a woman. That's just how it is. They would
We're
be
born that
overpowered,
way.
right? We would they would just be overpowered, and that's the reality. But women were better pilots, or women could shoot guns better, and things started to change and evolve. Same thing with gays in the military. It was all worried about like soldiers couldn't concentrate because they were worried about a gay eye fucking them or something. I don't know, but like the point I'm making is we've come a long way, and it's interesting because I worked with a lot of millennials in the last theater gig I did, and we did Saturday Night Fever, and I was kind of blown away with their mentality because one, I worked with them every day, so I saw how they talked and treated each other, which was terrible, and I could see it through how they responded through social media, Facebook, whatever else, the things that they were doing, the things that they were saying, like it's it's pretty cruel. And but what's funny is they would then watch Saturday Night Fever, which was written for a show like in the 70s, and like they talked a certain way to a girl, and they're like, "Oh, that is so offensive," and I'm like, "Really?" Because what you're doing online right now is way worse or equal. And I just found
Hmm.
the contradictory so bizarre, like how they could say something from history, like beating slaves is bad during the Civil War, and I'm like, well, of course it's bad, but that was history, and we should never forget it. And like same thing here. Yes, that's how they talked back then. But it was also weird because some of the talking in Saturday Night Fever, for example, if you lived in that era, it wasn't offensive. It was called flirting. But nowadays, it's called being offensive, and it's only through the eyes of the people that think it's offensive but aren't living it and not going through it. Like if you didn't grow up, it's just like listening to rap music, right? Rappers like to use the N word. Some people like it, meaning some people don't. But the point I'm making is, how many times have we heard, you know, it's a it's a cultural thing that they understand. If they use it in their music, it's not necessarily to offend sometimes, it's just a cultural thing.
Hey,
But from an outsider, it might be offensive
you're
or to someone.
totally going off some
Well, no, no,
rocker
no, no,
here.
no, 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 because I'm trying to go back to the whole situation of Captain Marvel and the time period in which it takes place.
Uh
They
huh.
placed it in the 80s, almost
90s.
90s,
90s.
90s, 80s to 90s. Well, no, 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 because I'm talking about her flashbacks. The whole reason
Mm-hmm.
why she's a man hater, right? It's a woman's,
All those little
it's a man's
flashbacks, and
world.
then it showed her
The
getting up.
flashbacks, yeah, the flashbacks are all about a man's world. You
Yes.
can't play baseball. You
Right.
can't drive a go-kart. You can't
That's just
be
how it
in the
was.
military. That's how it was. And what I'm saying is, I did not take those scenes as a man hating scene because that was history.
I didn't.
I
Yeah.
agreed with it. And I actually got emotional and I felt bad for her character because when I saw those scenes. So to me, there was no man hating. Does that make
Wow. Yeah.
sense?
No.
And so
And
it
that was
didn't
one of the
bother me.
greater scenes too, and like it shows at the
Right.
end, and
Right.
each of
And like
her
I said,
past where she
other
was
than the
getting
Arnold
up, and it just
Schwarzenegger
showed
head
men.
being blown up, and other than
Yeah.
like the cockpit comment being done twice,
Right.
like that's redundant. But I understood like where her character was coming from, so it didn't bother me. And there was no one paid attention to it, but there was one brief moment where, as a little girl, she was laying next to a younger man. I don't know if it was her brother. I don't know. They never explained who it was,
Right.
but they were talking about the stars and he was being encouraging. So she had a positive male role model
Right.
somewhere in her life. So to say that it was a white man hating thing is not true.
It's
And
not, and that whole scene at the end too of them getting up. Did you feel that was because of women are going to fight back up, or is it just
yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
mankind keeps on
No, it
pushing?
again, I got
I thought of it as
emotional.
humans do not ever give up because they're fighting the Kree, and I
Yes.
felt that it was humans never give up. That's one thing
Well,
we don't ever do.
it's
I'm
true.
never going to
It's
give up on
true.
this
And
hamburger.
you could say Americans. You could say Americans don't give up because at least so far in our history, we've been fortunate. But I would say to me, no, I took it as a woman thing. I took it as look how far we've come, and I took it more importantly as a character thing because they had pre-established it early on. If they hadn't pre-established it, I would have thought it was kind of last minute randomness,
Hmm.
but they pre-established it. So
Yeah, they did.
they showed the first parts of all her childhood being bad.
Right,
Like, oh, I crashed the cart. You shouldn't be driving. Oh, I was climbing ropes and I fell. Well, you shouldn't be climbing. They just only showed the bad parts in the beginning,
and then they
but
show
they
her
never
getting up,
showed. Yes, and they
which
showed
was
her getting up,
great.
which right. And to me, I got emotional a couple times watching this movie. I really
Wow.
did. So like I didn't think it was that bad. Now, like I said, I'm curious because did they change it? Did they say, "Whoa, we're pissing a lot of people off. Maybe we should tone it down a bit"? Or was it in, like you said, two movies and they picked the better one? Or was it always made this way? The world will never know. But I'm just saying, like, if Brie Larson didn't open her mouth, I think there would have been no controversy. I think people would have probably gone and seen it a couple of times because it it wouldn't be in their minds. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that the movie itself did great, and I think if she just shut the fuck up, it would have been better.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in this next movies. But since we don't really have time to talk more on, I don't know,
Maybe we
everything
should do a round
else.
two and talk about the rest of it.
No,
Like,
I mean
because
we can talk about.
The Kree thing, that the Kree and the
There's the
what was it?
Kree, the cat, Nick
No,
Fury. We didn't talk anything on that.
what is the other group of aliens? The ones that actually attacked New York, not
Scrolls,
the Scrolls. That was the surprise twist.
right? And I
I
liked
was
that. I
waiting. I was
appreciated
waiting
that.
for the bad guys, but
Right?
it never
I
came.
thought it was great, and then the Kree were the
Yeah.
bad guy. I think the whole thing was great, but
Yes.
we're running out of time.
Okay.
We
Sorry.
would
Go ahead.
love to talk about this again. We could probably just do a whole segment on more Marvel since Endgame's coming out soon. We
Yep.
probably should just do a segment on Marvel, period, and we'll probably just banter on. But this was supposed to be completely about Captain Marvel and your opinion, and you definitely hit that one out of the park.
Well,
I'm
I had to
curious.
go
I'm gonna go back and
backstory.
listen to the last episode or the one we did before, and just
Yes.
the
Yes. I
hell did
agree.
you? What were we talking about? But
It was mostly the controversy.
it was so. This is probably the end of this episode. So
Yeah. Thank you for listening to
yeah,
Entertainment Banter. I am Matt.
And my name is Joel, and I'm done.